past goalie.
I've always been impressed with the heart and the passion of Lyndon Bunyo. He's not scared of the dirty areas. He's not afraid of a battle like that.
Scored by number
been a little bit
97,
undersized, but filling out a little bit. And there could be a spot
Bunyo.
in the National Lacrosse League for Lyndon Bunyo one day.
He's definitely a contender for a spot. As teams are added, he's one of those guys that you think he's got to be there.
Dixon drops a pass. Dane Smith is there to recover. Dixon, stutter step, far side. Quick stick opportunity. McLaughlin has his second.
Is that what you think of, Brent?
There, off ball, not in the stick for very long. Bang, that's vintage McLaughlin.
Yeah, that's a, you know, it's funny you see some of the guys who have been on this team in the past. I think maybe a Ryan Benesh making a play like this, stepping into space, catch and shoot, and find that spot, know where he's going before the ball gets there, and put it home.
Yeah, that's where Adam Jones has been the last World Championship for these guys. Benesh, another one, as you mentioned. And McLaughlin, welcome to day two, Eli.
Team Canada goals scored by number 51, Eli.
This time around, the Surrey native McLaughlin praying in front
assisted by number 17,
family, and
Curtis
it didn't matter if it was
Dixon.
junior days or with the Colorado Mammoth. Seems like Eli McLaughlin always played big inside the Langley Event Center. Canada back on possession. 9 shots on Frankie Chiliano so far. Doby makes it 10. It's a stop by Chiliano. Loose ball is into the corner. Doby's there. Quickly moves it outside. Dane Smith gets a pick from Dixon, trying to fight to the open space. Smith down to the crease, faking. Dixon will run it behind the net. Hang on. Lots of time to work with here for Curtis Dixon as he'll wind up. He'll move it. Could have been a shot, but he's not going to be selfish this time. Moves it to Doby. Shot goes wide. Rebound to Dane Smith. 10 on the shot clock. Flips it down. Dixon one-handed catch. Shot. Stick save. Frank Chiliano.
Tony Joseph takes the ball, another veteran of this English team, and there are a ton of English players. England really moving towards an all-English team over the next few years. That 10-second count, though, is going to force them to turn the ball over.
And it's nice to see. You know, I don't mind a couple Canadian players or import players on a roster just so you can get that mix, and then maybe next World Championship or 2 down the line, definitely you see a full roster.
Yeah, and they have a plan, basically the German model, where Germany had a plan in place to where they said, we're going to go all German, all players. This tournament, they planned to have a non-German goalie. That's Craig Wendy. Everyone else is German. In the future, they want even the goalie and eventually the coaches to be German.
I like it. And, you know, to me right now, one of the most important thing, you mentioned the coaches there, but I think that's the one area where, you know, you need to bring in maybe some outside guys with a different perspective that have had some reps to help develop the game. You see that with a lot of the nations here this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Finland, where they're going pretty much all Finnish players, and then have Tracy Kluski and his staff. And they have even gone Pentti Peikonen, who retired a couple years ago, now coaching.
Courier gone, breakaway, scores! Money in the bank when 77 gets on the sprint like that.
Great body control. You can see him staying adroitly out of the crease. And the thing with Zach Courier and some of these speedsters, he's so fast that he is gone. He has time to create space and then slow down. You'll see he looks around, knows it slows down, so he's got control and can do whatever he wants on the shot.
Did that twice last night. There's not many better in the game than sniffing out a loose ball and breaking away like Zach Courier. 3-time Mann Cup champion, NLL champion.
And you know, he's one of those players in junior, maybe at times a bit of a defensive liability. He would say that himself because he was always thinking, as there's an over and back, he was always thinking go, go, go. And when he became a senior player with the Peterborough Lakers, they said, we don't care if you get transition, just play defense, learn to be a great defender.
Yeah, the transition
You're fast enough, it'll be there.
Transition will come. Great defense turns into turnovers and loose balls. As you see, Canada smothering on that offensive shift on Dan Eckersall.
Pair of Colorado Mammoth players, Robert Hope and Dan Coates, the captain and the temporary captain while Coates was out, and they step in together.
Canada goes to work again. Dane Doby working with McLaughlin, Dixon, Robert Church. Cutting through the middle, Jackson, stick save Chiliano.
It's a big save. Jackson was wide open, great catch. Such slick hands on Shane Jackson and the wherewithal to know where to put it, but not quite finding a spot.
Nate Clare bumbles a pass, being watched by Challen Rogers, trying to get underneath on the low roll on Rogers. Clare still has it, fires, Poulin the save, rebound. Picked up one-handed by Zach Courier, who's up the floor with Corbeil.
great to see Chris Corbeil back after having some surgery over the summer and planning to be healthy for this tournament. And he is such a leader for them wearing the C.
Yeah, perfect guy to wear the C. Looks like he's moving well too. So nice to see Corbeil galloping the floor like that as that ball is off a shoe into the hands of Chiliano. To Smith, who's going to hand it off to the offense. The lone goal scorer so far for the English, Lyndon Bunyo. Bunyo will sidestep into the offensive zone. Being watched by Matt Beers. Pass is dropped by Marsh. Bunyo recovers, plays it in deep. As Fitzgerald runs into a hard double, and Rubish does a great job of stripping Fitzgerald, and Canada's up the floor.
Jake Withers, Matt Beers. I mean, again, the depth of the Canadian defense is amazing. Speaking of guys who have played well here, Matt Beers, I thought a few years ago when Vancouver was here, may have been the best defender in the NLL one season.
Heart and soul, and another one of those guys who's, he's not super late into his career. There's a lot of lacrosse left for Matt Beers, but I like to see a guy like that at his age getting rewarded with a look here by Team Canada.
Big save by Chiliano as Dixon all alone on top of him. Dixon had to be careful about the crease, but Chiliano made himself big.
Tony Joseph will hand off to the offense of Caleb Kuber. Gets away from Priolo, passes far side, winding up his Marsh. He hangs on to it. Hossack will push him to the outside, and that ball's picked off by Priolo, and he's off to the races. The English change. Tyson Rowe will try to thwart the transition over to Doby, and a nice save by Chiliano.
Great play by Priolo. Gets the stick in one hand to get clear, and then gets it back in two to make the pass.
Tyson Rowe has the green light from Walt Christensen to go. He's the big man to bring it up the floor, and he's had some great opportunities.
Interesting watching him 4 years ago when he was a young player and breaking through and really had a breakout with England at the Onondaga Worlds. And he has really come on for them. England gets a reset.
Poulin kicks it into the corner, reset as Dan Eckersall will go to work. Nate Clare gets away from Corbeil, runs into Rubish and a one-handed swat to knock that ball free. Such
two of those
force.
in 3 shifts.
Such force. The one-handed whack to strip a guy that has 2 hands on his stick is not easy to do. As Fitzgerald will run out of time, stripped in the corner.
Zach Courier coming up with that one. This time he'll just hand it off to Dane Smith instead of running.
4:08 to go, first quarter, 3-1 Canada lead. 2 goals by Eli McLaughlin and 1 by Zach Courier have them on top 3-1 and out shooting the English 16-5.
Frank Chiliano making a difference, and this is a pretty good quarter for England defensively primarily. Offensively, they're having a little trouble generating chances, and that won't help.
Just not ready for the pass was Nate Clare as that one sails by. Shane Jackson will get across center.
What great awareness. Jackson looking up the floor to see his options, sees the player coming, is able to adjust as things change.
Through the middle of the floor, Church hangs on, shot. Chiliano goes down to his knees to make that stop. The English are in transition. Will Alsop.
You notice Robert Church last night when he ran back in defensive transition. Great play by Doby.
Now Nate Clare, again, that awareness as Doby's left wide open. Stick with your man even though there's a turnover. And Doby has a breakaway, 4-1 Canada.
Yeah, beautiful play. Doby just takes off. Nice awareness. You can see Challen Rogers with a perfect laser of a pass, that hard fake and the twister. And Dane Doby alone on a goalie is almost unstoppable. I was just mentioning Robert Church last night. People don't think of him as being super athletic, super fast. There was the one play last night where he tracked down a U.S. runner. I can't remember who it was. It was I think it was Brett Manning. Chased him down in defensive transition defense, and he can burn when he needs to go.
Yeah, not easy to do, and in a tournament like this with a coaching staff, like imagine walking back to that bench without knowing that you hustled your hardest and have to talk to Kurt Malowski, Glenn Clark, Mike Hazen, and Pat Coyle.
And when guys like Mark Matthews are sitting as healthy scratches, when all the players are going to sit, you make their decision easy if you don't hustle.
Dixon one-on-one battle crashes in, and Chiliano stands up to it as Dixon walked around Albert Whitehead. Bunyo tries to create some separation for Abramson. He'll hand off to Nate Clare. Clare moves it to Bunyo, being watched by Rubic. Tries to swim over top, not going to happen. That's a tidal wave. as Marsh tries to get underneath his man, winding up from the outside. Fitzgerald runs into a hard double, passes to Clare. That ball's dropped, and Nate Clare fighting it a little bit here in this first quarter. He's going to be frustrated with himself, dropped a couple passes and allowed that last Dobie goal to happen.
Clare's been with this program for a while.
Dane Smith tried to stutter step into the middle of the floor. Dobie runs into Rowe. Dixon all alone, fakes, takes, passes down to the crease, and Shane Jackson's robbed by the pipe of Frank Chiliano that they get the reset.
And Sam Clare was just backing away from Curtis Dixon, trying not to be a screen.
Smith, Dixon, that pass sails over his head. Canada maybe trying a couple too many passes right now. Some players not ready for them or thinking they're coming when they don't need to be. Minute 37 to go first quarter as Tyson Rowe brings it in deep. Corbeil on his back, moves it to Fitzgerald. Across the floor to Marsh, back to Cooper, underneath the Withers, but the slide is there, nowhere to go. Marsh tries to get to the inside. He runs into a double, triple, quadruple as he's finally stripped. And that ball pops up to the captain, Chris Corbeil.
And Corbeil, the only guy who wasn't involved in stripping the ball, comes up with the Lucy.
He loves them.
He does. Just ask his Twitter handle.
Shots on goal 20-5 as Church, wearing 91, goes to Dane Dobie. And that ball intended on the doorstep by McLaughlin, looking for his hat trick, can't pick it up.
It's interesting you mentioned about players hustling off the floor and trying to impress this coaching staff when it's such a deep roster. And same thing I think goes for, you talked about maybe the extra pass now and then, guys trying to be unselfish, be team players since they've always been the guy, most of them.
That's off the bean of Poulin, and Hossack will collect the garbage. That's Hossack wearing number 4, looking very Rubish-like. Yeah. Those two play a very similar game.
I was a little surprised to see Hossack with the 4 instead of Rubish. Rubish, the more senior player.
Yeah, I wonder what he had to trade to get those digits.
I know.
As Smith goes to Robert Church. Church far side to Dane Dobie. Pass in the middle for Dixon, sails over his stick. Smith has it, and Chiliano makes another save. Sneak attack here as Poulin goes to the bench. One last shot here for Team Canada with the clock winding down, and they'll run out of time as the shot goes wide. Poulin flew to the bench to get the extra attacker on for that final shot.
17 saves for Frank Chiliano in the first quarter.
21-6, the shots on goal. 4-1, Canada leads. 2 goals by Eli McLaughlin, singles from Dane Dobie and Zach Currier. They're on a 3-goal run as we wrap up the first 15 minutes here on day 2 from the Langley Event Center. It's Canada 4, England 1, right here on Lax Sports Network. Curtis Dixon has 2 assists. Eli McLaughlin has 2 goals. Jake Withers has 4 face-off wins, and the Canadians are up 4-1 on the English through 15 minutes. This is the World Indoor Lacrosse Championships on the Lacrosse Sports Network. My name is Brad Challoner alongside Steven Stamp. Stay interactive with us on Twitter. Let us know where you're watching from around the planet. If you're back home in England, middle of the night there, thanks for staying up with us and cheering on your squad, who are only down by 3 through 15 thanks to Frank Chiliano. Now they're down by 4 courtesy of Shane Jackson.
Yeah, and Jackson, again, we talked earlier about the slick hands that he's got. He is, I think, one of the more underrated players around. So I'm not sure people realize just what a glue guy and how good he is. Look at the way he slips off the player trying to check him and just reaches back across, gets Chiliano coming left to right, and knows that's going to open up a whole 5-hole if he can get his hands back there.
Just another one of those great off-ball guys, like a left-handed Ben McIntosh. And someone opened up a debate a while ago, who takes the most, as Withers goes down the floor, cross, Courier fires it wide, but what offensive player in the NLL takes the most punishment from defenders? Shane Jackson might be at the top of that list.
He's up there. I think Corey Vitarelli will go in and take a pounding.
Vit Dog takes a beating.
Yep.
As Dane Dobie will spin off a check, goes to the point to Dixon, patented sub shot, Superman short side at 6-1.
And Dixon's such a great shooter. We always think of the flying goals, but this is just as big of a part of his arsenal. Not the step back on that one, that's just stepping right into it, and a bouncer to skip it home.
And such a quick release on a sub shot. He makes it look very fluid, but that is tough to bring that ball up from high and then come down low like that and beat Chiliano short side.
Mentioned it earlier on the McLaughlin goal when he cut in, and big part of that, of course, is being aware of what's developing and where you're going to go when that ball gets to you. That's how you get the ball away so quickly.
Smith tries to get around his man. He'll peel off into the corner and hit Shane Jackson.
That plus being freakishly athletic and talented.
That helps.
It doesn't hurt.
As McLaughlin looks for 3, that one's off Chiliano, out of play. Canada ball with a fresh 30-second shot clock to work with here. Second quarter from the LEC. Jackson to Church. The righties cycle a little bit. Dixon cutting through the middle is Smith. He drops the pass. Couple of guys holding their sticks a little bit tight right now for Canada, but Smith will recover and tuck one in top shelf. Quick stick, 7-1.
And it happens. I mean, we were talking about it was a pretty close game earlier on when it was sitting at 3-1, and England kind of hanging in there. But you know this tide is coming, and there's Dane Smith looking frustrated that the ball got away from him. But Robert Church, just a lovely little touch pass, and you just can't. I get it. It's hard to cover everyone. But the one guy you can't leave alone is Dane Smith on top of the crease.
Yeah,
or whichever
anybody on top of the crease,
right?
exactly.
Is sitting there.
That's where you have to be just defensively responsible and clear that traffic out of the way. Withers will bring this one up Main Street, fire it. Corbeil looking for the bouncing ball.
I think it's an illegal pick call or a loose ball violation against England, so Canada gets the ball back.
Dobie on the doorstep, fake shoots, buries, receives a nice feed from Brian Cole playing his offense, as you mentioned earlier. Yeah. Dobie with a beautiful finish. It's 8-1.
What a slip pick by Dobie, just kind of glides into place. And, I mean, he's just so deadly when he gets in tight. This is a guy who's been so good for so long, but never quite cracking Team Canada, some of these top tiers. Now he's the NLL MVP. He's the NLL Cup MVP. And here he is with Team Canada, looking right at home.
At 32 years old, nonetheless, for his first time to crack Team Canada. We talked about Matt Beers being, a bit older to get his first look, but Dane Dobie a few years even older than that. But a nice reward for Dobie, who played his junior in the backyard here at the Langley Event Center in the Lower Mainland, and is pretty much a BC guy now.
Yeah. And we were talking about guys who take the most pounding, and didn't mention Dane Dobie. He probably should be in that discussion as well. And Ryan Conwell chiming in on Twitter and pointing out he'd say Tyler Digby.
Yeah, Digby, with that post up, he just puts that big body on the doorstep. And how many cracks in the back does Tyler Digby get over the years? But
as Ryan said, I would say Digby does, but it doesn't matter for him.
No, he doesn't feel it, just soaks it.
The football tight end.
It's like a shiatsu massage, you'll take it. 8-1 Canada, second quarter, 13-19 to go.
As we get back to it, I just want to point out, I know Walt Christensen was talking to us, he was saying the big thing that he loves, I wrote a story about this, about the England team earlier in the year, is what they have done, for the first time ever, they had North and South tryouts in England. There's a Northern League and a Southern League, and they don't get together that often. They've had tryouts at both ends. They've brought everyone together. They had 25 guys go to the E-Box tournament and the Alistair Besky in Prague in the spring, and he selected the players from that. It's been a real tryout process, and it is making things happen for England. The results aren't showing right away.
And that one, no goals. They're going to say, I think Withers was in the crease on that far side. Shane Jackson, don't have to argue too much at 8-1 in the second quarter.
Yeah, you don't want to be arguing, but I think they all think that was in. And in
or
in
at least get
way.
The explanation from the referee as to why, and don't do that again next time.
Yeah.
As Eckersall moves it to Marsh. Plays it deep into the offensive zone. Just 6 shots on goal so far. Fitzgerald uses his big body to get down low and post up, but he's pushed into the crease, and back the other way come the Canadians. Dane Smith spits out of the gate. Smith scores. Transition goals aplenty so far here tonight. 9-1 Canada.
Jason Noble plays that lovely. He was involved in the strip at the other end as they force the English forward back into the crease, and then Noble just takes off with the ball, and it makes it look so easy, but you can see that diagonal pass, perfectly timed, perfectly placed to let Smith run onto it and adjust.
And nice to see the transition goals from Canada, because if they get to the gold medal game and have to see the Iroquois or see the USA or whoever they should meet, transition goals are going to go a long way. They know what they can do offensively. Well, let's try to get this unit dialed in, and how can we move up the floor and try to capitalize that way. As Jake Withers is on the run, bodies chase, and he scores.
About 4 seconds after you mentioned how important transition goals are, the bench transition from Smith, and then Withers with the transition off the face-off just takes it himself, as he is wont to do. You can see he's just all alone and looks back, nothing too fancy, just picks his spot and takes off. And Canada's running game is so impressive, and I still have vivid memories of Steve Priolo in 2015 scoring the huge transition goal in the gold medal game against the Iroquois Nationals in the Carrier Dome at Syracuse, and then doing the board jump where he was on the dasher and up, banging the boards to the Canadian fans behind.
Yeah, that was a backbreaker. I think I read today, it might have been Connor Wilson saying, you know, the U.S.'s advantage over Canada over the years, everybody said, was their athleticism and their transition game, but you can't say that anymore, because the Canadian athletes are best in class now, and their transition game is the best in the world as well. So they're just now dominating every area of the floor.
Huge hit by Brandon Smith.
Kick save, Chiliano. As Eli McLaughlin goes to Dixon. Dobie, that one goes wide. Dobie gets his own rebound, comes on the doorstep, flips it back to McLaughlin, and he'll lose the handle as he pokes in on Frank Chiliano.
Nice effort by Dobie, a good idea if it works. And in a fairly, if you were thinking about kids about making that play, remember he was standing down by the crease about 180 feet away from his net, not up at the top of the formation.
Courier, beautiful up and over wrap check on Sam Clare to strip it. Ball goes back to Poulin. He'll fire it up the floor.
Courier, an aficionado of that over-the-head wrap check.
One of the best, as Hope will move it up. Cross, nice motion by Canada's offense. Everyone getting a piece of that rubber. And Chiliano keeps it out.
I actually thought Shane Jackson was in the crease and then came out and picked that ball up.
The referees let it go as Dixon goes back to Jackson. Quick stick, no net, as Chiliano hugging that left side pipe. But a nice loose ball. Pick up there by Brian Cole. Bodies his man, takes the ball.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's the defender in him coming out and making a nice physical play.
Jackson, hard pass over to Dane Smith. 15 seconds on the shot clock. Smith, pass behind, and as Chiliano will coolly swat that one away.
Looks like he was playing pickleball.
They're going to credit it as a shot because he reached out and touched it. Was sailing over as Shane Jackson has a lane through the middle. Moving pick called on Dobie. As Joseph gets across center for England. He runs into Corbeil. That high press that we saw last night, Canada always keeping one of their big athletic bodies to attack soon as the opposing team crosses the line, whether it's a Corbeil or a Courier, playing out high. Now Kuber takes a shot. Rebound off the crossbar, as that's the closest England has been in a while.
Were those not the first 2 shots England's had this quarter?
Yeah, they only came in with 6. Now they have 8. You're right. As Corbeil will tuck one in transition. Another goal on the run on a broken play. 11-1.
It's so disheartening. I mean, this English team, they knew they were in tough tonight, and they're working hard. Some really positive things happening, but you finally get a chance. You're just having so much trouble generating chances. You finally generate back-to-back chances, good scoring chance, and Mike Poulin shuts the door, and 6 seconds later, the ball's in your net.
Yeah, any confidence that you were building or feeling any sort of effects of, turning things around and feeling a bit positive gets stymied.
And we talked earlier, Canada, these players, they're not going to, and they'll take the foot off the gas a little bit, but they're going to keep playing hard, racing to the bench, because like we talked about, they're fighting for spots in the medal game.
They're fighting for spots in the medal game, and they're fighting to dial in the medal game. No matter how this round robin looks for Canada, medal game is never going to be a cakewalk, no matter who you're playing against, and this is all just fine-tuning for that too. Marsh does a good job of getting away from his defender. Fitzgerald will fire. That one's blocked and kicked ahead as Hossack tries to hacky-sack it up the floor to Noble.
The ball hit Graham Hossack in the leg, and I think the ball might be a little hurt.
The ball is bruised. We'll have to check on that later.
It's staying in there. That's a tough ball, but it might be going to the bench soon.
Dixon in possession as we pass the 6-minute mark of quarter number 2. Shots on goal 37-8. Score 11-1. Shane Jackson will look across the floor to Dixon. Whitehead watching him. Dixon backpedals into the corner. Smith with the pick. Bodies come over. Dobie tries to go behind the net to Dixon. That one's picked off. And the English will come up the floor. It's Gavin Abramson.
That turnover caused in part by Matt Tatton. Brilliant job of picking up Shane Jackson as he slipped through the slot. Nice awareness.
And Dobie on the forecheck. Now Abramson on his back. Dobie hangs onto the handle. Down on the doorstep. Fake. Shoots. Tries to go upstairs. You mentioned Robert Church, who had the deceptive speed last night. Well, Dane Dobie has always had that deceptive speed. Always seems to find another gear when he's the first guy out of the gate in transition as well. But fought for the ball. Made Abramson cough it up and then headed out on a breakaway after the offensive forecheck. Another strip. Sticks go flying everywhere. Every time you come near, Kyle Rubish is turning your stick into a windmill.
That's at least 3 of those so far in the game.
Hossack. To Dixon, to Dane Smith. Fakes a pass, hangs on, goes across the floor, skips it to McLaughlin. Back to Smith, and we've got a moving pick called on the Canadians.
England's got a man up the floor, but Jason Noble racing out to take away the angle. He couldn't get it to Bunio.
Footwork, Whitehead looking up the floor enough, but he wasn't. Took away the coverage.
And that's a good decision. Sometimes you feel a bit desperate. You want to force that pass, but it was the right decision.
Yep, hand it off to your offense and let them do the work as Nate Clare will try to fight inside. Tries to spin away from Robert Hope. Gets a shot off. And Poulin makes the stick save, and Priolo's quickly up the floor looking for the bench. It's Dixon. Tries to go upstairs, trickles over Chiliano's shoulders and down the back of the net. But looking like Canada right now really working on that bench transition.
Tyson Rowe using those big strides to get up the floor. Curtis Dixon, so fascinating the way he changes pace with his long strides, short strides, kind of a glide, a quick step to just shift what the defenders are seeing as he's breaking in on the net.
Walker, Bunio, and Poulin will swallow that one up. The Kitchener native.
Man Cup MVP. A phenomenal performance.
Yeah, he's had a great few years as Mike Poulin. Dixon winds up, past the Dobies, dropped, bumbled, recovered, flicks it to Dixon, winding up all day long on the crease, scores.
That's pretty much what I'm talking about, changing the, the short little stutter step to start moving, and then the long stride, so quick with that long stride to get underneath, and you don't realize how far he can travel on that one step. Well, watch as he takes it. So there's the little steps, the fake, and here he goes. That 1 or 2 long strides, and he's past the defender, and they're not even on his back, they're lost. I think this is a great angle to see it. Right there, that long one leading with the right foot, and he's home free around Will Alsop.
It's just a gallop, and he's got such a big physical frame too that once that back is turned, you're gone. Even if you get on his back, you're not going to shake him.
Sorry, interesting. Mike Poulin, the Man Cup MVP here, and the guy who played probably even better than Poulin in the Man Cup, Peter Dubensky, made his debut in the tournament in the game just before this, playing the second half for the Czech Republic in their win over Slovakia.
Yeah, we talked about Dubensky last night. Don't think it'll be too long till we hear of a free agent signing for him somewhere.
I would think so.
And one of those goaltenders that's fun to watch because of how active and how mobile he is. He's not a guy that's just going to stand there and soak shots and make it look easy. He's going to make it look fun.
Yeah.
Whitehead brings it across center as the English try to set up on offense. Marsh to the far side to Cooper. Sorry, that's Kai Jeffries. Back to Marsh, who wears 12. Good stick work there, but Priolo hangs with him and knocks that ball free. The English just can't get anywhere near the middle of the floor, and every time a defender comes up, they're stripped. That's Brian Cole wearing 55 in red. He makes his tournament debut tonight. Normally a defender in the National Lacrosse League, but a player of the offensive gate. That ball will bounce over Dobie's head. And Brandon Smith's on the run for England. He's joined by Clare. Smith is going to take it, fire it wide of the net.
Good decision, good take. Just not quite finding his spot. Brian Cole, of course,
another step or two.
Yeah. Brian Cole had that big game for Georgia where he had to step in. There's some injuries, had a hat trick, and really established that he can play that position at the pro level.
Dixon, Jackson, fakes, takes, gets a hard pick from McLaughlin. Back to Smith. Back to Jackson, winding up. 5 on the shot clock for Dixon. He'll step around his man, tries to float it far side, and Chiliano swallows that one.
Serious pick from Robert Church to open up space for Dixon. And the one thing I'll tell you, these English defenders are working hard, getting on the Canadian forwards. You can see Dane Smith and Dixon, these guys, having to really work to get their space.
Yeah, and we've seen a couple of drop passes by Canada, and that could be, again, when you've got a defender in your grill or on your hands, you're going to second guess, you're going to be overthinking, and that's why some of these balls are sailing wide or getting dropped. You got a big defender in your face.
Yeah.
Cole flips it down to Dobie, dives across the crease, stays out as Tyson Rowe. We'll wait for Cole and float it deep for the offense.
Really like the little stutter step by Rowe just before center.
Cooper tried to scoop it inside to Bunyo as they try to work a little two-man game.
The key there, of course, do it before center if you know you have the time, so you're not going to get trapped on the other side. Now he's big enough, he can maybe fight through if he does get trapped, but you see so many guys make that mistake.
Bunyo tries to penetrate the middle again, just runs in to a Withers Courier sandwich and has to go for a change. Sorry, that was Noble down there. As Church floats it to Curtis Dixon. Pass for McLaughlin, saves Chiliano, rebound. McLaughlin tries to get after it, but Roche is there first. And Alsop not able to bring in that pass as Mike Poulin will look up the floor.
Marsh in the area too, and it just drifted right between the pair of English players.
Now, Shane Jackson fighting to get free, pops up, and there's a man on his hands. Penalty coming up to England. Extra attacker coming on the floor for Canada as Poulin changes, but Matthew Flapin will grab the ball. Sorry, that was Will Alsop.
Yeah. Looking at the Israel roster there for a moment.
Getting ahead of myself. That's next game.
Yeah, we'll have that one at 7:30, the pair of us.
Doubleheader tonight, Israel and the USA.
That was just leading you to that segue, to that promo.
That was perfect.
That should be a good game.
That was nice foreshadowing. That will be a good game. That'll be a big test for the USA. See if they can bounce back after a big loss against Canada. And the Israel, who had a great 30 minutes against Iroquois last night, hung in that game at halftime. And then the Iroquois just found a second gear and another level in that second half as their offense really started getting their chemistry and came to life. Now bombing it up the floor, Sam Clare looking for a breakaway pass. That's in his feet.
That's too bad for Sam Clare. There's a nice pass from Chiliano, just about a foot off and just behind him, kind of spun him around a little.
Canada power play again. Doby, Cole, Church, Dixon, Smith. And Chiliano will swallow that outside shot from Doby.
Interesting with Cole playing tonight, playing at the forward position, sliding up, that they're putting him on the power play. No babying him, just get in there and show us what you can do up front.
Bunyo drives a bit of a one-handed scoop, airborne, short-handed.
Great drive, though. I mean, driving with the legs like a running back hitting the line, just keep going.
Yeah,
that's what led to his goal earlier.
Got to know, his low center of gravity, able to charge in as we're in the final minute of the first half. Dixon across. McLaughlin back to Dixon on doorstep for Doby. He gets his own rebound. Doesn't reach into the crease to get it as McLaughlin will go back to Dixon. Whips it to Jackson. Shot. And Chiliano makes another save. Rebound again. Doby tries to chuck it in as he's bumped aside by Whitehead. Good pressure on the power play.
Frank Chiliano, don't think he realized that if he just waited, that didn't quite know the time, because if he'd waited about a second and a half, England wouldn't have to worry about the shot clock and having another second and a half or two on the game clock above it. They're not going to pull him at this point.
Final 10 seconds of the half, short-handed too. That would just bring them into 5-on-5 action. But they'll get a successful penalty kill here, and that's something they can take solace in.
It's nice though to get that 5-on-5 when you're short-handed, right? Get that last opportunity, but they'll just go to the locker room and regroup.
Down by 11 through 30. Shots on goal 49-11. Team Canada up on England as their first game of the tournament. Canada with a win last night against the USA. We'll take a 10-minute break, come back, break down half number 2 from the Langley Event Center. My name is Brad Challoner alongside Steven Stamp. Get at us on Twitter, Lacrosse fans. Let us know where you're watching from. Any questions, comments, concerns, chirps you want us to dissect in the second half? Let us know. This is the World Indoor Lacrosse Championships on Lax Sports Network and TFSETV.com. Talk to you in a few. Welcome back inside the Langley Event Center. It's the World Indoor Lacrosse Championships. Canada and England here on day 2. Brad Challoner and Steven Stamp with you. Reminding you to stay interactive during tonight's broadcast. Hit us up on Twitter at StampLax, at Brad Chal, CHALL. Canada will start this second half shorthanded, but up 12-1 through 30 minutes. A hat trick by McLaughlin. 2 goals from Dane Smith and Curtis Dixon. A boatload in transition. And Mike Poulin needing a cup of coffee, just seeing 11 shots in that first 30 minutes, Steven.
Dane Doby as well with 2 goals, and each of those 3 2-goal scorers had 3 assists. So really spreading it around. Speaking of spreading it around, the game this afternoon, the Serbia comeback with an 8-1 run to beat the Netherlands. Serbia 5 different 2-goal scorers in that 11-9 win, I think it was.
Yeah, and not just all named Gaich or Bilic.
Yeah.
I get to call a Serbian game, I think, tomorrow morning.
They're a pretty fun team to watch.
Yeah, and their fans are rolling deep. I caught the last couple minutes of their game against Switzerland last night, and they roll thick and they roll loud, and there was chants of Serbia after that W, and it's fun to see some of the fans that have come out to watch this tournament so far this weekend.
Stu Sturpar coaching that club and doing a great job, and again, one of those Canadian coaches, an Alberta guy who's just going out and really putting a lot of himself into it, like so many others are.
If you're just getting off work or tuning in late, no Mark Matthews, Dylan Ward, or Ben McIntosh tonight for Canada, but we are seeing the debuts of Brian Cole and Eli McLaughlin. Christian Del Bianco backing up Mike Poulin as the English will get a slashing call here, and we'll have 4-on-4 lacrosse for 38 seconds.
It's a lot of space for this Canadian team to work with.
Cole out there, like you mentioned earlier, and power play opportunities, now playing 4-on-4. He missed last night, so get his feet wet. As Dixon will go to work, flips it back to Robert Church, down low, fake shoots. Chiliano makes the stop. He saw 49 shots in the first 30 minutes.
And Mike Poulin faced 11.
Could we see a 100 spot tonight? I think Canada might taper off here and work the ball around the horn here in this second half, but 50-60 is a pretty good benchmark on an average day, good day.
There's that second penalty kill unit for Canada of Zach Courier, Robert Hope, Matt Beers, and Jake Withers was coming out of the penalty box.
Yeah, guys who on their respective teams, Beers and Hope especially, the 2 best defenders on their respective teams.
Although I know a lot of people would argue for Dan Coates in Colorado, who's right up there. I think Hope, they're both fantastic.
1A, 1B.
Yeah.
As there's a shot turned into the corner by Chiliano, who's been England's best player so far. Passionate body. Cooper will look up the floor. Nate Clare shorthanded for 30 seconds. Kai Jeffries comes out of the gate late. Clare trying to run away from his man, Noble, as he goes across the floor. Back to Clare. Shot clock winding down as he tries to feed a man in traffic, and that ball will end up in the corner, but in 10 seconds, we're back to even strength.
Coates has the ball, and Jason Noble out there as well. And then we've talked about all the great Canadian defenders, and those guys are on the second unit on D, but I don't think you'll see a player with better footwork than one of those 2.
Textbook Noble. I like to call both the Noble brothers. They just play the game so precisely and exactly how you learn it as a kid. Fundamentals are crucial. And yeah, Jason Noble could tightrope walk across Niagara Falls, I think, with those feet. As Bunyo fires one, that one got a piece of the face mask of Poulin, I think, ends up in the corner. Bunyo has the lone English tally. That shot comes from the outside, big rebound. And Nate Clare will let that one roll and pick it up and regroup with a fresh 30. Bunyo and Clare, 2-man game. Bunyo crashes in, and Poulin will follow him across the crease and keep it out.
Pretty impressive for a goalie to stay that sharp, to be ready for that play, as Mike Poulin was when he hasn't faced a lot of shots. It can be challenging when you're not getting rubber regularly.
Courier going to stay for a shift on O as Robert Church plays it to Cole. Cole back to Church, stutter step. It's a pick from Rogers, shot from the outside as Canada's going to roll a few traditional defensive bodies right now, though Challen Rogers no stranger to the offensive zone.
Yeah,
bouncing ball.
An MVP in Major Series Lacrosse last year when he had to step in and play offense because Oakville Rock were a little short on the right side. There's a strip.
Courier strips Alsop cleanly, walks up the floor, fakes the shot, and just let's go back and play some offense.
He almost was convincing that he was going to shoot that ball. I mean, there's no way you're going to take that shot, but he was loaded up.
Lots of time left, new clock.
1 on 3.
Smith goes across the floor, Dobie to a cutting, Dixon scores.
Oh.
Great fake, great patience. Chiliano bites and Dixon completes it. 13-1.
Speaking of convincing fakes, I thought Curtis Dixon was shooting this ball behind the back. You'll see that, I mean, Smith cuts through, but nice little touch pass to Dobie, who, again, the touch pass, and that ball almost came out of the stick on the back end.
It's just so fast. Yeah. So fast, so seamless.
Oh, that angle's great.
Yeah, Chiliano thought he was going for it, and then Dixon pulls it back around and comes upstairs.
Got to give some credit to 10 Foot Sports Entertainment producing these games. The camera angles have been great. The replays, I mean, just really doing a nice job of showcasing what these players are doing on some of these great plays.
James Sutherland, Tyler Dinwiddie and the crew working hard. 2 games simultaneously all weekend long. 10:30, 1:30, 4:30, 7:30 double headers in the Arena Bowl and the Field House. Not a lot of sleep happening for the TFCE crew.
And not just now, leading up to it for a long time. They have put a ton of work and yeoman effort, and it's coming off.
Yeah, Langley Event Center, you know, this is one of the home of lacrosse in the Lower Mainland. Minto Cups have been played here. There's a Man Cup played here, the World Championships, the Stealth obviously calling this place home for 5 years. This is one of the places you think about.
And they know how to do it. They know how to put this on.
Exactly. Jeffries to Lyndon Bunyo, being watched by Rubish. He'll follow Jeffries down low as Bunyo goes across the floor. Penalty coming up to Noble. Chiliano, with only 3 seconds, isn't going to use the run. So the English will head to the man advantage.
Trailing 54-14 in shots, 13-1 in goals. And it'll be interesting to see what they can do on the power play. Haven't had a lot of opportunities. I'm trying to think if they've had a power play yet.
I'm trying to reset the scoreboard here too, but yeah. I don't think they have had one. Away penalties. No, this is the first
non-matching.
Oh, Beers check from behind. Oh, that was the starting this quarter. I guess that happened at the whistle at the end of the first half as they started this quarter shorthanded. But here's the
that's right.
Second opportunity as Kuber, Bunyo, Claire, Eckersall, and Marsh will go to work. Kuber winds up, tries to float one low. That one's off the chest of Hossack into the corner. Bunyo recovers, 5 on the shot clock. Short side, trickles. Power play goal, Lyndon Bunyo catches Poulin short side. It's 13-2.
And again, effort play by Bunyo. You can see the stutter step working his way, and then he just rips that one before he gets into traffic.
And Poulin standing there staring right at it. Thought he got a piece of it, and it just powers its way through.
It comes across, right? It goes over. It looks like it hit the post or his left foot. It goes across and bangs off the right foot and back in, I think. And it took a right turn halfway through.
Challen Rogers runs onto a loose ball. As coming in to this half of the game, Jake Withers had won 10 of his 13 faceoffs. Dixon down in the corner, fake shoot, scores again. Dixon having fun against Frank Chiliano tonight.
Yeah, he is so dangerous. We talked about the outside shot earlier. Here he goes inside again. And the stick control, very impressive. I mean, he put so much into his fakes.
Yeah, and it's something different every time.
Yeah.
It's either the Superman, it's the fake behind the back, then come upstairs. It was the point shot, sub shot earlier.
And as I talk about the hard fakes, he throws a tiny little subtle fake to get not even get Chiliano moving, just frozen.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be much. Procedure called on Withers, so Roach.
Dan Coates.
Dan Coates called on the procedure, so Roach, the yellow head on his weapon, will hand off to the offense and go back to work 5-on-5. 5:16 to go, third quarter. Stay tuned after this one. Israel and the USA. Could be a preview of a bronze medal game down the road. Who knows?
Bronze medal game last time 4 years ago.
And USA, in all 4 times this tournament has been held, bronze medal finishers in each one of those. Canada, of course, gold in every one. Iroquois was silver in all 4 tournaments.
And that bronze medal game 4 years ago was not close, but I think this matchup's going to be much closer. It was 15-4 in the bronze medal game.
And a skip bouncer from McLaughlin, his 4th of the night, as he's out there skipping stones on the banks of the Fraser River. Top shelf, 14-2.
Eli McLaughlin just stepping back. Loaded that one up.
Beautiful
Changes
bounce
the
shot.
plane.
Short side, high. Chiliano goes down early.
Oh.
But McLaughlin knew exactly what he was doing with that shot.
That is so tricky for a goalie when the guy drops the head of the stick. They think it's coming low. And if you can get that the skip so that you raise the bounce shot up high like that, you're going to make it very difficult for goalies.
And this floor, this turf, a little bit harder than what these guys are used to in the NLL. So you actually do get a better bounce on this floor than you do on the thicker turf. McLaughlin reading that.
It's an odd floor.
Yeah, you can hear their footsteps running. You don't hear that.
Sounds like horses.
They're galloping up the floor.
Yeah.
When it gets quiet, you can hear it as Dobie will flip it, and that one's out of reach of Brian Cole. Recovers back to Dixon. He'll wind up from deep. Rogers moves his man about 10 feet out of the way with a soft pick.
The ice is in underneath, right? It's ice
is in
boards.
underneath.
Then
Yeah. Vancouver Giants are alive and well. So they put down, I think, a wood on top of the ice, and then this.
You hear it kind of clumping around under as you walk on it.
Giants on a long road trip. You can feel it's cool in here.
I like it.
As Nate Clare will try to spin away from Coates. Takes a couple nice whacks. 4 on the shot clock, and time will expire on a smothering shift.
It goes to throw it into the corner at the end of the 30, straight into the stick of Dan Coates.
There's red jerseys everywhere. Church to Dobie. Shane Jackson had a couple goals in that first half. Back to Dane Smith. Rolls off a check, being clamped on by Joseph. Jackson, head fake, Claire on his mitts. Will follow him out. Dave Stevens has a lane. Twister, stick save Chiliano.
Interesting watching Sam Clare as he takes this pass, going back and playing D. He's been an O guy for so long, very talented, big scorer for England. And he's played well, but he made that decision. And you're pointing out he's playing it all summer in the WLA.
And I think someone gave him the message, or he got the message himself, that if he wanted to take the next step in his career in the NLL, it wasn't going to be as an offensive guy. Let's get responsibly sound on defense, and he's got the speed and the hands to finish in transition.
So many players have made that move. Of course, 2/3 of the roster spots on every NLL roster are in defense and transitions.
Dane Dobie brings it in. Being watched by Tatton. Nice 2-man game with Jackson. Shot stopped by Chiliano. That one will bounce on the doorstep. And a penalty coming up to England on the play. Pushed from behind on Whitehead.
Officials tonight, the head referee is Andy Watson. And then the refs are Mike Leahy and Justin Kitashima. And Martin Bartushka, Czech ref, is the standby official.
Play blown in for Church. And the power play will work the ball around. Church, Doby, Jackson, Dixon, Smith. Dixon to Doby, spinorama as he flipped it down to Jackson. Dane Smith finds the ball. Church, Dixon winds up, back to Church, across, skipping it to Jackson, fires wide of the net. Smith has it, 3 seconds, one more pass. Doby will skip that one wide. Too much time to think for Canada as a couple shots go wide of the net.
Just 10 in the quarter.
One last push for England here before the break. Bouncing to Bunyo. That one shot off the kneecap of Poulin into the corner. 45 in the books. 3 down, a 1 to go. Canada 15-2 on top of England through 45 minutes. Brad Challoner and Steven Stamp with you from the Langley Event Center and the 2019 World Indoor Lacrosse Championships right here on the Lax Sports Network and TFSETV.ca. (15-2) through 45 minutes. Canada looking to go 2-0 in the tournament so far. This is the debut for England. They're back tomorrow against Israel, 4:30 right here in the Arena Bowl. Canada has the day off tomorrow. They're back Sunday night against Israel, 4:30 West Coast time right here on Lax Sports Network and TFSE TV.ca. Brad Challoner, Steven Stamp with you. 15-2. The Canucks on top of the English, and Canada on the power play right now, but that ball's picked off, and off to the races we go. Sam Clare showing his speed. Dixon catches up to him, but he buries.
What a gorgeous goal.
Sam Clare hits 5th gear and gets the English back on the board short-handed. It's 15-3.
Curtis Dixon has shown this willingness in the past to go back on D. Great hustle, the swing at it, and Clare, as I thought Dixon had hit his stick, but I'm pretty sure you watch carefully, I think Clare protects it well enough that Dixon doesn't get it. No, doesn't touch the stick. Clare goes hard twister.
Yeah, and just has to twist his hands enough to get it away from Dixon swinging his stick, and Sam Clare makes it 15-3.
And Sam Clare has been signed, right?
Sam Clare's been signed by the Vancouver Warriors. He's going to try to crack the roster on that back end.
I'm sure Dan Richardson and Chris Gill are watching and noticed that.
Yeah, they wanted speed and more goals out of that back end. They kind of thought they had built that a little bit with the Porters last year and Owen Barker. But they found the team a bit sluggish as that one's bar down from Brian Cole, his first of the night.
He's not bad up front.
No, hasn't looked out of place at all.
Mentioned the game that he played for Georgia last year. He played a couple, but there was the one in particular where he had a hat trick and looked very legit playing up front. He actually did play offense for the Oakville Rock in Major Series Lacrosse before he was drafted. And it was interesting because people were watching him. I was watching him then thinking, no, he's got to play transition. He's got to play D-training. He's not really an offensive guy. But he's good enough to step in and, like you said, not look out of place.
Challen Rogers, you mentioned doing that in Oakville. It seemed like they're a bit of a training ground for getting D guys offensive reps there. It's just a matter of personnel, I guess, and stuff in the summertime too, and players are coming in and out, but never bad to have that in your game and never get settled doing one thing. Dobie has another nice two-man game with Eli McLaughlin, who's had a strong debut here after not playing last night.
And for all of Canada's goals and all the magic and wizardry they've shown, that's one of the first times I've really noticed England kind of ball watching and standing flat-footed, kind of leaning back a bit. And that's not very nice for Elliot Pugh, who has come in to play for England in net. The native English player and the team manager getting some time here. And one of my favorite Elliot Pugh, Mike Poulin stories. Well, I guess I don't have that many with the two of them. But 4 years ago, Mike Poulin did not play in the final game when he was representing the Czech Republic, as they went with all their Czech players. None of their Canadians, Czech connection, Mike Poulin and that didn't play. So Poulin saw that Elliot Pugh had gone in against Canada. He didn't have proper lacrosse uppers. He was wearing hockey gear, and the Canadians were afraid they were going to hurt him. Mike Poulin gave Elliot Pugh his uppers because he knew he was going to get more, and Elliot Pugh's been using those. And
wow.
I mean, just a great moment, the kind of thing you see at these tournaments.
Goalie union. And I guess I'll pick your brain on this while we're live on the air with a 14-goal deficit. But Poulin was a member of that Czech Republic team and now still available for Team Canada. So that's a quirk here in the WILC, is that you can go back and forth.
Yeah,
it's not like once you play for a team, you're locked there for life. No,
there's a period. You can't go and play for them the next year. Like anyone who played for a country last year at the World Field Lacrosse Championships couldn't switch for this year. And I'm trying to remember. I believe it's 2 years. It might actually even be, but you can switch eventually.
Which is good to know, because I thought about a guy like Jesse King, who, if healthy, probably could have had a good look at this Team Canada team, but was going to play for England until his injury.
Yeah.
That's a guy who could be on a Team Canada.
Yeah, and he would be able to in 4 years.
And Chiliano, he could be here in 4 years too if he wanted to. He was still the top of his game, and that's something we talked about last night too, is that Canada returning, they're so deep, but they returned 7 bodies, but none of the goaltenders that they had 4 years ago. So showing the depth at that position as well.
At that position, actually, Nick Rose was the English starting goalie 4 years ago, and they asked him to come back this year, and he said, I would like to, but I really want to have a go with Team Canada. He applied, was part of that process. They were making their decision pretty early, and he said, if you got to make a decision, that's fine. I respect that. So they approached Frank Chiliano at that point.
And Chiliano got a monster year with the San Diego Seals. And always with the Maple Ridge Barrage, one of the best summertime goalies in Canada.
One of those athletic big guys.
Yeah, sometimes you see a guy his size and you're shocked the way that he can kick a leg out and fly across the crease sometimes. Clock running in this tournament when you have a 12-goal lead in the second half of a game. Running time now here. As Tyson Rowe.
We've talked about how Canadian players are going to want to keep hustling, working hard, playing the game right, even with the lead, because they are showing their responsibility, trying to make sure they're in the medal games. And for England, same kind of thing. They want to use every minute they can, every quarter they have, to try and develop, try and grow as cohesiveness as a team.
Well, this is the best competition you could possibly see. And to see how you measure up, this is the stick, this is the bar. And, any individual player is going to want to go out there and give it their all and want to feel good about doing everything they can.
Nice save by Elliot Pugh, who is, he is just a terrific guy, great support from his family, and he's one of those fun guys to watch play because he puts so much into it. He knows he's a backup for this team. He understands it, but he does the manager work, and such a positive guy, just a great guy to run into and hang around with. And Nice to see him getting some time between the pipes.
Challen Rogers and Chris Corbeil on the run. Rogers breakaway, still floats it wide as Corbeil couldn't grab onto the ball off the glass.
Nice hustle by Gavin Abrahamson to come after Rogers and maybe put a little pressure on him as he was coming in. Force his shot a little.
Walker to Nate Clare, trying to spin away from Rubish. He stays with him, flips it back to Bunyo. So lots of time on the shot clock as Bunyo floats it over the head of Eckersall, and that'll end up with Canada back up the floor.
Corbeil up to Hope, and Hope's going to slow things down, but then finds Church, who almost had a lane to the net, but big Tyson Rowe was lurking.
Gonna wait for the 5-on-5 set as Dane Stevens takes a slash from the captain. Back over to Curtis Dixon, being watched by Roach. Church sets a soft pick. Dane Dobie spinning towards net, gets tied into a nice defensive stand by Caleb Cooper.
And as that play was happening, Dane Smith had already made his way to the bench to get a defender out, again showing some responsibility there.
No hot dog in here in the World Championships. Kai Jeffrey scoops it back to Bunyo. He can't pick it up. Ball's into the corner, bounces over top of Cooper. Battling forward is Matt Marsh. Canada comes up with it.
Nice hustle by Jake Withers to come in and win that loose ball battle.
McLaughlin's had himself a night, goes over to Dane Smith. Shane Jackson, he'll fire. That one goes wide of Pugh. Hasn't been tested a ton here. It's Canada looking for those passes and working on that offensive chemistry. .63 shots on Frank Chiliano / Elliot Pugh.
Brian Cole back playing a defensive shift now.
Challen Rogers takes away the rolling man. Far side, back to the point, Nate Clare. Kai Jeffries now once picked off by Rubish, and he's off to the races. Canada changes, Rubish slows it down. And we'll hand off to the offensive Curtis Dixon.
And Steve Friolo ran up with Rubish, had the stick in one hand and kind of trotting along and not really looking for a pass, which suggests Canada has been told, let's not push it in transition and go to the net, I would suspect.
Work on those 5-on-5 sets, and there's a nice flip pass from Dane Dobie to McLaughlin, who's stinging corners tonight, 17-3.
Oh, the two-man game between Dobie and McLaughlin, that is a thing of beauty. Little pick, not too much. Saw that he had the defender going out already, used his momentum against him. Just the slight pick, nice seal, and then he is gone off to the races and tucks that one home.
Yeah, that is a nice combination of Dobie and McLaughlin over there. You've got a lanky, athletic body who can get up and over top of a goaltender. You've got the grit and the feeding ability of Dane Dobie. A nice two-man matchup.
And you've got Mark Matthews to bring back into the mix.
Yeah, who's just not here. Matthews is scratch. Ben McIntosh fulfilling his PLL duties. He battles for a PLL championship this weekend against Redwoods LC. McLaughlin again, and Pugh makes this stop. We'll see McIntosh in a couple nights, and that means no Matt Rambo and no Connor Kelly for Team USA tonight when they take on Israel.
That's big, because that's going to be a real challenge for the U.S. I think that's a legit game that Israel believes they have a shot to go and compete and try and win a game there.
Especially with the goaltending of Zach Higgins. And you have to think the USA might start with Gawa Abrams tonight.
Yeah. I mean, Go Abrams was very good last night, obviously coming in relief after David Mather started the game.
So yeah, do they go with the hot hand, or they try to go back with the incumbent Mather and give him another shot?
I would be going with Abrams, personally, given the circumstances that we've seen, but those are tough decisions.
I would too. As Tyson Rowe will strip one away from Curtis Dixon. 2-on-1 if they hustle. Tyson Rowe, Sam Clare. Rowe has it, bounces it in. Tyson Rowe on the run, 18-4.
Moves so well for a big man. Gets it up there, the Nanaimo Timberman.
And Tyson Rowe has had a long journey to where he is. His ball carrying responsibility has gotten a bit better. And for the size that he is, the way that he gets up the floor and the way that, you know, some big guys are sort of tall and lanky and you can deke around them and trip them up and sort of get them to trip on their own feet. But Tyson Rowe, not that guy, even at 6'10".
It's always fascinating for me to run into Tyson Rowe around the arena. The only lacrosse player I can think of that's taller than
The
me.
only guy, the only one you can look eye to eye at.
Well, Tim Semish is 6'8". He's just an inch shorter than me. We were actually standing chatting last night and someone was, who's taller between you guys? We kind of eyed each other up. Did the big guy look?
Another shot from the outside, Dane Smith. That one hit a body. Ended up in the corner, 2:16 to go. As Canada goes back on defense. Mike Poulin seen just 19 shots tonight. 2 goals from Lyndon Bunyo, Sam Clare, and Tyson Rowe. So every English goal coming from a Canadian import.
Which is a bit of the challenge as you move towards the all-English team. They do have some talent. They have some players who are growing and developing, and you want that leadership and guys to help, the Canadian players to help develop and get these guys to progress. But England, their plan is in 2 years of the European Championships to have basically all English players, maybe a Canadian goalie.
Yeah, you can have Canadian guys contributing, but you want to be able to pass that torch and have other guys stepping up as well. As Kuber runs onto a loose, minute 17 to go.
Canada will have tomorrow night off and then expect to see Christian Del Bianco starting against Israel on September 22nd on Sunday.
Canada
and,
rolling through all goaltenders here in the round
Dylan
robin.
Ward will back up on that one. If they go with the same process, which I believe is what they said they're going to do.
Shot from the outside. Walker with a nice rip. Just lets this one go from distance and skips it across the turf. Beats Poulin far side.
Great release by Will Walker. A little give and go. Makes the pass, steps into some space, and Jason Noble coming out at him, and I think turns into a little bit of a screen. You can see Poulin's going to cut to his right, and the ball is already on its way as he's stepping across. Just drifts in as he's settling himself into position.
Will Walker, London, England.
And there you have it. One of the English natives doing what they're going to have to do.
Late. Will Walker with a goal in a World Championship game. And a timeout by England with 9.9 seconds to go. So Walt Christensen, Dan Perreault drop a set play and see if the English could get out of here with one more goal.
Walker had 5 goals at the European Championships a couple of years ago. And I'm going to actually just check and see. I'm trying to remember if he played for England in 2015. He did, and he had 1 assist, played 3 games. So he's just working his way into the roster at that point.
Getting some more and more touches now.
Yeah.
Reminder again, coming up in an hour and 24 minutes, Israel and the USA. The nightcap.
Get yourself some dinner, get the snacks lined up, beverages chilled, come back and join us.
Walker to Bunyo, shot from the outside by Kuber, goes wide, and that'll do it on the opening night for the English. Day 2 of the tournament, Canada is 2-0. 18 goals they put up to England's 5. They outshoot them 65